Mailman, did you know that 40% of Republicans believe that Acorn is planning to fix the election for Hillary, even though Acorn has an existence since 2010? That doesn't surprise me. And neither does this. I mean, look, there is, and I think David K. Johnson would have said this too. And there was a piece by, wasn't Judas who wrote this piece? Thomas Edsel wrote a piece about this, and there's certainly, I can understand there is people on the left who want to argue that the essence of Trump support is a function of wage stagnation, of job loss, of the loss of what was available to the middle class in the past. And I think those things, those people can be subjected to those things, and that not be the essence of their support for Donald Trump. And I think that's the case. I don't think, now it's quite possible in the absence of those developments, you would not have as large of support for Donald Trump. But I would imagine that that being the determinant factor, and you can't really figure this out, really. There's no way to really figure it out. Would account for about 10%, or I should say 1/4 of his support at the most. But when you see a poll like this, and it's just a poll, but I mean, I have seen no evidence to the contrary of this. 72% of registered Republican voters still doubt President Obama's citizenship. This was a poll conducted in late June, early July of 1,700 voters. 41% disagreed with the statement that Barack Obama was born in the United States. 41%. Another 31% expressed doubts as to whether or not he was born in the United States. They then measured whether or not this was a function of low information or high information Republican voters. Democrats, I should say, like 90% agreed with the claim. So let's just say across the board, 10%, you're going to lose 10%. But we're still talking about 72% of the Republican voters. So they asked these voters like 3 questions, and they determined like if they could answer 2, they were a high information voter. If they could only answer 1, then they were low information voters. It made 0 difference. There was no difference. They could know a lot about politics, a little bit about politics. That was not it. Now, there's no way you can correlate wage stagnation, loss of jobs, loss of health care. There's no way you can find any, I think, relationship between these things and thinking that Barack Obama was not born in this country, but for the fact that they are predisposed to blaming black people for their situation. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, this is the essence of Donald Trump. It may be the case that these people are, and I think in a lot of situations, are suffering in many respects in the same way or slightly different way, I think, than you see non-white working class voters, minority working class voters, people of color, working class voters are subjected to the same thing. But the fact is that the determinant factor to supporting Donald Trump is racial bias, xenophobia, and a healthy dose of misogyny. I think that is the determining factor. I mean, that's why I thought Donald Trump was going to resonate with the Republican Party, because he'd been trained to. So I just wanted to mention that, because there's a lot of arguments that, this is his support comes from this, and I think they can be subjected to that and still not be a function of the support. Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.